right now on the National Weather Desk. Severe storms hit St. Louis just weeks after tornadoes devastated the city.
There wasn't any warning at all.
Why researchers are studying hail across the Midwest.
Hail causes more financial damage than tornadoes every year.
It doesn't take much rainfall to trigger flash flooding in Utah's Zion National Park.
If there's any chance of rain, we do not recommend that they go into any of the canyons.
The tsunami threat is very real in the Pacific Northwest. Researchers want to make sure they can get warnings out as quick as possible.
We detect the tsunami 10 to 15 minutes earlier than we could with previous generations.
And how climate change is impacting the shrimping industry off the South Carolina coast.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Well, severe storms swept through the Midwest on Wednesday, leaving thousands without power and causing widespread damage and flooding. People are now working on cleanup and repair efforts. John Kipper is in St. Louis, Missouri with more.
There wasn't any warning at all.
Tom Nyan says he did not hear sirens until roughly 10 minutes after the storm hit on Wednesday. His clue it was coming: it didn't feel right outside.
All of a sudden, it got really dark, really windy.
He lives on Vintage Oaks Drive in the northeast part of Wildwood, where we found plenty of downed trees, one leaning on a home, and debris from homes tossed into random yards. Nyan, happy he took cover.
You could feel the sucking sound happen while I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I just started running downstairs.
A few blocks away off Highway 109, one home stayed intact but was hit hard with an awning out front and a sun porch out back, going down with the storm.
We could feel the wind blowing around and making noise, booing things around, so that's when we went down the basement.
Larry Strasburger's daughter lives in that house next door to him. She's out of town. He also says he was alerted by this particularly loud storm. The storm left some in Wildwood without power and some home repair projects on deck in the future. But Strasburger pointed to the tornado in North City, thankful his community was not hit as bad.
Poor people in the city, that's bad. This is nothing.
There's a threat of more severe storms today. The Storm Prediction Center issued a level 2 out of 5 risk for the area that you see there in yellow. That includes most of Oklahoma as well as Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas. A few tornadoes, very large hail, and severe wind gusts are all possible. Well, a quick look at the tropics, where the National Hurricane Center is monitoring another disturbance in the eastern Pacific. Now, right now, it's south of Mexico and has an 80% chance of developing into a named storm over the next week. It's expected to move west away from land. We're also still monitoring air quality related to the smoke from those Canadian wildfires. Now, there will still be issues again today in the Great Lakes region, although the air will be better than yesterday. Now, unhealthy air is also forecasted for parts of the Northeast, especially around New York and Connecticut, as well as the Maine and Massachusetts coastlines. In Florida, a 2,000-mile-long dust storm from Africa's Sahara Desert is now spreading over the state. It will usher in drier conditions and hazy skies. A satellite image from earlier this week shows the converging plumes of smoke and dust over the country, and that's why we've seen those red sunrises and sunsets all week. Over the next several weeks, a collaborative group of researchers is studying hail in the Great Plains, a project they called Ice Chip. Emily Gracie caught up with them in Dodge City, Kansas to find out how they're using a variety of instruments to better understand and even predict hail events.
Hail causes more financial damage than tornadoes every year. It's perhaps not as scary, and it probably doesn't make as much news coverage, but there's over billions of dollars of hail damage every year because windows get broken, roofs get broken. There's a huge amount of economic disruption in these big storms.
Shops, car dealerships, just a lot of the industry, in the plains, is really impacted by the weather and especially hail. So that could really have a big impact on the economy out here and what people are doing.
So what have you experienced so far? Have you had some good chances to get into hail and study it?
So we operated in Kansas and Oklahoma a couple days ago. So we had our radars out. People deployed these weather stations, these hail probes to study what's happening. So we got some great radar data, great ground-based data. Same thing happened the other day in Wichita. So we set up a great radar network. Obviously, you can tell we're doing a lot of the radar stuff. But people are out there with their ground instrumentation, operating within these radar networks, collecting hail. Everybody's coming to the hotel every night with their coolers full of hail. So they're studying, the different growth regimes in the hail. They're doing crush tests on the hail. So really trying to understand the trajectory of these hailstones through these storms, both with the ground collection, but then also what we're seeing with our radar data.
Is there ultimate goals here when it comes to prediction of hail? What would you like to see in the future?
Well, many groups are trying in different ways to try to help solve the hail problem, which is basically predicting the hailstorms better, engineering better against different kinds of hailstones, whether they're hard or soft or pointy, how fast they fall. And this is by far the largest effort that's going on this year. But every year, the National Science Foundation and also NOAA through NSSL and other groups is studying various aspects of the hail problem.
Flash flood warnings were posted for Utah's Zion National Park yesterday. Earlier this week, flooding there damaged some trails. As Liv Kelleher shows us, it doesn't take much rainfall to start a flood in the national park.
Heavy rainfall Monday afternoon in Washington City left this popular trail severely damaged.
We got over an inch very rapidly, and we have a stream of persistent water that goes through this canyon, and it overflowed and undermined some of the asphalt and washed away some sections of our trail.
In Springdale, local businesses also feel the impact, like at Zion Adventure, a local outfitter.
This week, for instance, we had a lot of rain in the forecast, and unfortunately many of our guided trips got canceled.
For self-guided hikers, staff say education is key.
You know what, the scenery is going to be there tomorrow, and we got to make sure that you are.
Park rangers say storms can develop quickly, and even small amounts of rainfall can be dangerous.
If there's any chance of rain, we do not recommend that they go into any of the canyons. And that's a decision that they need to make. Again, it gets back to that weighing their own risks, mitigating their own risks, making smart decisions before they commit.
He says flash floods can form from storms miles away, even if it's dry where you're standing.
It could be completely dry down here, but have a system up there that impacts the canyon. We've had that happen before, and we've had actually fatalities as a result of that.
It's becoming more common to see tornadoes earlier in the season and in areas you wouldn't expect. It seems Tornado Alley is shifting. Green Bay meteorologist Audrey Lee explains what is changing and why it matters.
Wisconsin has seen its fair share of severe weather over the past few weeks, but it's part of a much bigger picture. It's only June, and Wisconsin has already hit its yearly average number of tornadoes.
We average about 23 per year across the whole state, and already we're barely in June and we've already hit 23 tornadoes. The peak tornado season in Wisconsin here isn't until like July and August.
It's not just an early start that's raising eyebrows. It's where the tornadoes are touching down.
It seems like the traditional tornado alley is shifting a little bit further to the east, and it's shifting a little bit further north.
A study from 2018 confirms exactly this. There's a significant decrease in tornado frequency across the central and southern Great Plains, but an increase in tornado frequency in the Midwest and Southeast.
Of course, the follow-up question is what's causing that, and we're just not certain yet as a science. We just need more data and more years of research to gather an answer to that.
Uncertainty is part of the beauty of science, but here's what we do know. Early and active seasons often don't slow down.
Quite often, it's continued to be an active July and active August. So again, right now is a great time to be prepared. Make sure you have ways to receive weather information.
If Tornado Alley is actually shifting farther east, it means Wisconsin is getting closer to the bullseye.
Hawaii's Kilauea volcano back at it while you slept. The 24th eruption since late December sent lava shooting nearly 1,000 feet into the sky. It also created a plume of smoke that reached 16,000 feet high and was still growing. Most of these episodes at Kilauea last a day or less and stay within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. But high levels of volcanic gas can have far-reaching effects downwind. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how researchers are working to improve tsunami warnings in the Pacific Northwest. And we'll find out how a changing climate is impacting the Atlantic shrimping industry.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
California's wildfire season is essentially year-round, but peaks between late spring and the end of summer. Now, there are a number of ways wildfires can start, and in some cases, weather can play a major role. Meteorologist Ilya Naiman explains.
What causes wildfires? You've got a spark, anything that can ignite that fire. Either it's a weather event, lightning strikes usually, or it's human caused. That's typically the case. And sometimes a combination. It could be vehicle, it could be cigarette butts, it could be fireworks. We saw that happen allegedly earlier on this year. And then you've got the fuel, which is plants, vegetation, brush that is dry, especially after a period where there's little to no rain. And that is the fuel. The oxygen is there. And then you've got the fire. Add to that the weather, which is what we track here, and you've got a situation that could really be significant as far as the strong winds, the drought. What can cause these winds in the afternoon that we here experience in Kern County just about every single day? You've got cold air over the water that's chilly, hot air over the land that's hot, and you've got a pressure situation. High pressure due to the cold air, low pressure as hot air rises, and the combination of that gives you wind that will go from a high to a low, and that is your onshore flow, the sea breeze, and these winds rush in through the canyons, passes the mountains, and they get strongest in the desert. We see that. That's very common. The monsoon, typically in July to August, September, high pressure over the Intermountain West gets a southeasterly flow from Mexico. Thunderstorms come up, and occasionally, if the moisture is lagging, lightning can be replacing the downpours that we usually see, and that can trigger some of these fires around Kern County. Finally, Santa Ana winds, typical for Southern California. High pressure that is over the north, low pressure to our south. The winds get strong between the two. The canyons help funnel it, and voila, you've got tremendously strong fires that LA is all too common with.
Coastal communities in Washington state face a significant threat from tsunamis because offshore earthquakes are common in the region. But researchers are developing ways to get tsunami warnings out faster, helping lessen the threat. Meteorologist George Waldenberger has more.
Built by tectonics, shaped by waves, our evolving coastline seats Washington's communities most at risk of a large tsunami, which, under worst scenarios, could rise water heights here up to 3 stories.
So here in Sandpoint, in this machine shop, something has been developed to keep us safe. So this is our dart buoy.
This is our dart buoy. This is our 4th-generation dart buoy.
DART, or Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis, a team of 50 strategically placed ocean buoys can relay the signal of a wave as small as 1 centimeter passing over a sensor 6,000 meters underwater.
It's sitting on the bottom of the ocean.
And it's just been upgraded here at NOAA's Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory to now differentiate between seismic waves and tsunami waves, so it can be placed closer to the triggering zone, the Cascadia subduction zone.
And that allows us to detect the tsunami 10 to 15 minutes earlier than we could with previous generations.
That extra lead time is critical, as a tsunami could arrive on the coast in as little as 15 to 30 minutes. Its turbulent flow washing sand ashore and into normally quiet tidal marshes. Meanwhile, upgrades to high-resolution wave models.
We can compute really fast and get an estimate of the inundation, wave elevation, duration of the event, number of waves, pretty accurate forecast in a matter of a couple of minutes.
A couple of minutes may be all we get if the next tsunami is triggered nearby.
As the climate changes, ocean temperatures are rising, and those warmer waters are affecting what shrimpers are seeing off the coast of South Carolina. Meteorologist Dave Williams has more.
It usually shows up whenever our water temperature gets over 68 to 70 degrees, and to get them in real prime time is about 75 degrees. And that's where we're at now. We're getting close to it, so they're starting to show up good now.
Magwood is seeing good numbers of shrimp, but just about everything in the ocean eats shrimp, and more predators are showing up from other places.
Not near as many sharks when we were younger. Now that the water stays warm year-round, a lot warmer than it used to, we do have a lot more sharks.
There's different vegetation showing up too. Things that would be more likely seen off the coasts of Florida and Georgia in even warmer water.
You also see the grass, like the grass is changing on the bottom. Like today we had a bunch of different style grass that's in the nets that I haven't seen in a long time. And it's usually from when we work down in, you know, warmer waters that we see that.
Tarpon, mantis shrimp, and even spiny lobsters, typically in the Bahamas and the Florida Keys, are popping up in the low-country waters more frequently.
You heard about somebody might catch one, but now it's like somebody will catch them, you know, a couple of them a year, you know. But I hear about them being offshore a lot more than what you've ever had here because the water's getting warmer.
It pushes our typical shrimp and fish species farther north as well.
Now you hear shrimp being caught all the way above Virginia, and white shrimp in the fall, and we've never heard of that before.
In the off-season, when he's not shrimping, Magwood harvests oysters. He's concerned changing climate could have impacts there as well.
Thankfully, it's done well here, and South Carolina's doing a great job of trying to keep it coming back. But we do see some things changing where it's getting warmer, and you know, we worry about it killing them off if the water gets too warm.
Despite recent heavy rainfall in central Texas, Canyon Lake, which is popular with both tourists and locals, remains only 45% full. The lack of water is not only hurting wildlife in the area, it also has significant impacts on local businesses that once thrived in the area. Ethan Trejo has that story.
It's been a very steady decline the last 3 years in particular. We probably doing a fifth of the business we used to do at our peak.
Christine Cloyd, owner of the Artist Inn Bed and Breakfast, says the past few years have been rough on business because the declining lake levels means less visitors to the area.
We're making $50,000 from both units. Last year we made not even $10,000.
She says that when they bought the property 5 years ago, the water was up to the neighboring boat ramp, but now
there's at least a whole football field of grass and weeds where the water used to be.
But the struggles have extended beyond just the vacation properties.
I think that with the drought, you have your ups and downs.
Other businesses in the area have expressed their distress as well. Elena Conway, owner of the Dolly Parton-inspired Smoke Show Coffee Company, says that they've also seen a drop in traffic, but she's still holding out hope for the summer season.
Everyone loves coffee, so we've been doing pretty steady. I do expect the summer is going to just be a little bit steadier, hopefully, than usual.
While solutions for restoring the lake to its former levels are still being discussed, both Cloyd and Conway say they believe the answer is pretty clear.
They need to find a solution for whatever's happening with the lake.
Definitely bringing water to Canyon Lake would be the biggest help. It's still a very pretty area, whether the lake is there or not.
And time now for a short break, but first we take to the skies over the stunning beaches of Ocean City, Maryland.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Have you ever noticed that the temperature at your house doesn't always match what's reported by your local weather forecaster? Well, there's a reason for that. Meteorologist David Boyd explains.
You may notice the temperature reported on TV may be a lot different than what you're seeing at home. Well, here's the reason why. The average home thermometer can be in direct sunlight. Meanwhile, the official reading is always in the shade. At home, dark colors can absorb more heat. Meanwhile, the white paint on this box reduces heat absorption. At home, nearby houses and pavement can add radiant heat. Meanwhile, the Stevenson box is placed about 4 feet above the ground in an open field. Keep in mind, rule number 1, always measure temperature in the shade and measure about 4 to 5 feet off the ground. Locate the thermometer in a good airflow and place over grass or dirt, not near pavement. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist David Boyd.
Looking for more weather news and video? Well, be sure to follow us on social media. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. We'll take a quick break and be right back.